Before we get into this video, guys, it's important to note that the opinions expressed in this interview, they do not reflect the team or the business of Before They Are Famous. Now, here at Before They Are Famous, we love to talk to every celebrity under the sun, and there's so many people blowing up on the internet these days. Well, it is just bountiful, but some people, they've got a lot to say. Just want you guys to know that we're here to hear out everyone, hear their story, find out where they came from. But again, the opinions expressed, those are theirs. We're just interviewing them. Let's get into this interview. All right, guys, today we have a very special guest. I would say he's probably the most polarizing man in Canadian media. You're actually going Mr. Worldwide. Chris Sky, thanks for coming in.
My pleasure, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
You are like on the tip of everyone's tongue, a super busy guy. Just having him in here in the office, his phone rang a dozen times. We have so much to get through, but how's your day?
Like you said, it's busy like crazy, man. The last 5 days, I spent 2 days in 2 separate jails and 3 days at 3 separate rallies. We did a total of probably 50 hours of driving in the last 5 days.
He is Canada's most wanted. You can't even drive yourself right now. Is that correct?
No, I can't. I'm on 6 separate bails, and each one of them has their own specific conditions. Things like not being able to drive, not being able to fly, not being able to own any type of weapon. Even like if they see a sharp pen on me, they'll take that thing from me. I'm out on bail to my best friend, who's a Muslim imam, and my wife is the one that usually driving me around. And if we have to go on tour, we have to drive everywhere. So when we go to like BC, we got to drive there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Forget that.
I put over 70,000 kilometers on our car since February.
Wow. You've actually driven out to BC?
3 times this year.
My God. It's a full-time job what this guy is dealing with. It's like you're Canada's most wanted. It's
in a lot of ways. The media likes to misrepresent me and characterize me as violent, racist, etc. The government wants to characterize me as someone that's crazy and shouldn't be listened to, even though I can predict exactly what they're going to do with startling accuracy, literally over a year in advance, step by step, and even give exact dates and times.
You're the man about predictions, so I just want to know right now, a year from now or 5 years from now, what is your next prediction?
Well, it depends on how we act. I can give you a prediction of what's going to happen in the next few months, regardless of what we do, and then where it goes from there is entirely up to us.
Okay.
When we're in Ontario right now, the rest of Canada has no mask mandates.
Yeah.
Nowhere.
Nowhere. Banff, nothing.
So basically only in Ontario and all of North America are we still wearing the mask. So we're the crazy ones. But if you walk into a store without a mask, they look at you like you're crazy. And in some cases, people would even get violent. Imagine how much worse it will be when people are actually getting sick, the vaccinated, and then the TV and the government is blaming the unvaccinated.
I'm just realizing like 80% of our audience is American, and they're probably like, the pandemic was a year and a half ago. They're like living their lives. We were locked down for like a year and a half. COVID-19 was COVID-19 pounds for a lot of us because we couldn't leave our house. I just wanted to throw that in there because people are probably like, they're still dealing with this?
We were on stay-at-home order in Ontario until June 16th. Well, my wife is American. She's from Texas originally, and she spent time in Florida as early as February. And like you said, way back in February, before even people started taking the jab, you had little 4-year-old girls all the way up to 100-year-old old ladies walking around mask-free, jab-free, fear-free, and simply living their lives. But over here in Ontario, we have 95% of our so-called men walking around with a literal face diaper on, afraid to go into a grocery store or get gas without it. It's absolutely ridiculous. And that's why all this bad stuff is happening to us. And that's why all this bad stuff is happening to Australia. And if you want to see where it goes if we do nothing, look at Australia. So like I said, what's going to happen is Trudeau's going to win. We're going to see massive cases rising in the vaccinated. They're going to blame that on a new variant. They're going to come up with some weird name like COVID-22 or a super strain or Delta Plus, and then they're going to blame that on the unvaccinated. And that's going to set the stage for trying to get the public support they need for the vaccine passport.
That right there, guys, that was just the intro. Yeah. We have a ton to get through. So we're obviously Before They Are Famous. We got to do the come up. We want to know who Chris Sky was before the pandemic. We're also going to be talking about a lot of rumors I found online, a lot of allegations, bro.
Please, I would love to address them all because I've heard it all.
And then the arrests. We've got to hit on that.
Okay, yeah, we can go through those.
And his wife's here today, and she's off camera.
Hi, baby.
That is is a woman you're going to want to meet. So she'll be joining us as well. And we've also dug up some stuff that Before They Are Famous team is known to do. Find some old photos you might not know are on the web and just get to see your thoughts on those. All right, so I've watched a few of your other interviews. Some friends of this show, We Love Hip Hop, you were there, and Humbre's TV. He actually hooked us up, so thanks, Chris. But no one really delved that deep into like who you were. I heard you grew up at Jane and Finch.
No, I was born in North York.
Okay.
By the time I was like old enough to walk around and do things, we moved to Vaughan. But my grandmother lived at Jane and Finch, so I spent a lot of time at Jane and Finch all the way up until I was probably around 8-10 years old, and then she moved away from there.
That gave you some street cred as a youngin'.
Oh yeah, when you're 4 years old, it really matters where you're growing up.
Okay, and then Vaughan, are you from an Italian background? I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Cool. And was Wonderland like a big thing for you?
When I was like 13, yeah.
I mean, Wonderland was my life. I had my first kiss there, everything, man.
I had a lot of firsts at Wonderland.
Oh, you took it to other levels?
Not like you're thinking. I don't know what you're thinking. I'm talking about kid stuff, but yeah.
I made love on the Mindbuster. No, just kidding. Okay, so your childhood, obviously, meeting you, man, you like ooze charisma. This always been a character trait of yours?
Yeah, definitely. When I was even by the time I was like 6-7 years old, I already spoke like an adult. I already talked like an adult, acted like an adult. So I would really freak people out. They would talk to me like I was a kid because I looked like a kid. And then I would give them a look like, why are you talking to me like I'm a child? I'm not a child. They're like, but you are a child. Right? No, I was just always ahead of the curve, even as a kid. I was in a private school. When I was in grade 3, they wanted me to skip 2 grades. And I didn't want to do it because I already had 2 older sisters, so I knew what it was like to be around older people all the time. So I didn't want to be in a class with people that were 2 years older than me. So I declined that.
And then, so obviously, you were like, I just got the idea there that you were like in those gangster movies where they're like, he showed the great potential, so we took him in. Like it just like Goodfellas came to the top of my head. But maybe that's just my interpretation of Vaughan. It's like,
I think that's your interpretation of Vaughan. It might not be that far off from certain truths in certain cases, but no, not in this case. In this case, I grew up in Vaughan, had a normal child, had 2 sisters. My parents met when they were like 13 years old. They're still together today. They're like 67 years old now. And I started working in the family business before I graduated high school.
Oh, wow.
And I graduated high school with almost an A+ average. But I also had the maximum allowable absences allowed by law because I was the last year of grade 13, so I was 18 years old. So
I see. Oh, yeah, I remember that.
We could sign ourselves out every day. We're old enough to drive. We're old enough to do whatever we want. So I never went to school. I never had a book. I was famous for not having a book or a bag or a binder. I never carried anything. If I went to classes because the principal literally told me this is how many classes you have to go to legally be allowed to graduate. So I went to those classes. I sat in the class. If I had a test, I wrote it. If I had an exam, I wrote it. And I ended up with an 86 average.
Wow. So you're like a brilliant, troublemaker.
I know brilliant people. Like, technically, if I do an IQ test, I score at the very, very low end of where genius level starts. But then I know people in the higher level. So if you put me in a room full of geniuses, I'd be like the Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
I'm smart enough to understand that level, but I'm also still at the level of intelligence where I'm not socially awkward and I can articulate it in a way that everybody can understand.
Now, with what you're currently doing, I feel like you might have been the guy who stood up to bullies.
Yeah.
You looked out for the little guy.
All the time. That was probably one of my main motivations. I hated bullies ever since I was a child. And that's all I think about with the government, that they're bullying people, that they're literally making billions and billions of people suffer knowingly in a sinister plan just because they want power and control. And that's what everybody needs to understand. This entire thing that they're telling you is about health and safety is really about control. And that's what I called the global awakening. The only solution to this problem, I tell everybody I hate politics. There's no political solution to this problem. The people in the United States are not free and mass free and restriction free because they waited for a new Donald Trump to come and save them from the evil Joe Biden. No, he said, you guys are going to take a jab or you're going to be wearing masks forever. And the people said, okay, Joe, whatever. And they took off their masks and they did their thing. I call that united non-compliance. And it's a very important term because it means bringing everybody together, regardless of your differences, regardless of all the different ways they try to divide you, under one genuine cause. And that cause is the restoration of our rights and freedoms. And the only way you'll get those back is by simply not complying with what the government's trying to do.
We're gonna get there, Chris Sky. I know you've got so much that you want to get out there to the public, but I just want to wrap up your childhood by figuring out where the name Chris Sky came from.
It's very simple. The family business is called Sky Homes. I do low-rise residential develop, design, and build. So I've been working directly with the government to get permits, zoning applications, amendments, et cetera, since I was about 18 years old. The company is called Sky Homes. So people were calling me Chris Sky since I was about 15 years old.
Great
it wasn't
name.
some name that just came from the pandemic or anything like that.
My dad gave me McCrudden, and he made a business called McCrudden. So I couldn't really, I couldn't escape it.
I guess you could use it, but it's not much different, is it?
Yeah. And then I feel like some haters online, they would be saying like, you grew up privileged, right? Like some people would. Have you seen that?
Buddy, I've seen everything to that I'm a racist. I'm a racist, but I'm married to an Asian. I'm anti-LGBT, but my wife's bisexual. I'm a raging Islamophobe, but my best friend's a Pakistani Muslim imam who travels the country with me and who's also the one who bailed me out of jail. So I've heard it all. I've heard it all from far right, white supremacist all the way to far left George Soros plant. You know why? Because when you're telling the truth and you're making an impact, they can't debate what you're saying. Because how do you argue against the truth? The more you try to argue against the truth, the more you expose yourself as a liar. So what do you try to do? You try every type of way to discredit the truth teller and see what sticks. And so far, nothing sticks because all it takes is for someone to listen to me talk for 30 seconds and they know I'm telling the truth and they know everyone else is full of crap.
The most crazy allegation you mentioned was the one with you and your wife out in Thunder Bay. Why don't we have...
Oh, my God.
Jenny, do you want to come join us? Quickly, do you guys want to tell that story about that arrest?
It was the second part of my back-to-back recent arrests. We were traveling back from not really a tour. We were having a special event in Edmonton where I launched an initiative called A Free Canada. And it's a long story. We'll get into it later. But on the way back, we stopped in Manitoba because everyone wanted to have a rally there. But way back in May, they put a warrant out for my arrest for telling everybody I was going to speak there. So I'm the first person in the history of Canada to ever have a warrant for their arrest for something they said I was going to do. Then they know I didn't do it because instead of me going there and speaking, I spent the next day in Saskatchewan. So I arrived in Manitoba on August 23rd, and a whole bunch of people wanted me to do a rally on August 24th. I wanted to make sure I was going to be safe if I did the rally, so I had my lawyer call Manitoba and Ontario PD, talk to multiple officers, and document that I had no active warrants anywhere in the country, especially in Manitoba. When I found out I didn't, all my friends said, let's do a rally tomorrow. We did a rally the next day. Lo and behold, as soon as I was speaking, a warrant magically appeared on the system at the exact time I was speaking that wasn't there yesterday, verified by multiple police officers, that they then backdated all the way to May. So they did multiple illegal and corrupt things.
This isn't Goodfellas. This is Minority Report. We're like
this is Minority Report combined with a few other movies that we've seen.
Time Cops, like predicting the future, man.
And then when they arrested me, they didn't realize that I had taken the preemptive steps of verifying I had no warrants until my lawyer called in. So they got embarrassed. They were forced to release me the same day. And to make matters worse, I made a video that went viral that basically explained everything I just told you, but even in further detail. So they wanted to get back at me. So we were driving home from there. She was driving. We had about a 30-hour drive. We were halfway through. We were in Blind River, Ontario.
Okay, so this is the part where the whole wife situation.
Yes.
Okay.
So we pulled over to pray from my friend Zishan. While he was praying, we were outside in the parking lot, and 4 cruisers come in, 8 cops jump out, and they start questioning my wife because somebody said that I pushed her into a car and slammed the door on her.
So the cops told me to get out of the car, and I said, what for? I said, we're just sitting here talking. They said, we want to ask you some questions. So I said, okay, fine. I said, ask me questions right here in front of everybody. And they're like, no, this is private. And I was like, okay, I know where this is going to go. So let's go. Like, I know you're going to ask me. So I went over there and they said, can you lift up your legs for us? And I said, your pants. I'm sorry, your pants, because I was wearing long pants. It was cold. And they said, can you lift it up? And I said, why? They said that someone reported that he slammed the door on my legs and they wanted to see my legs for bruises. So I pulled up my pants and I said, here, you see? And I was wearing basically like a top like this, like showing everything. And I said, there's no bruises on my body. And I said, he would never touch me. That's ridiculous. And So they said there 2 people reported it, so they had to take him in. So
And you're like in the middle of nowhere. Like
yes.
there's a gas
And
station.
they showed up like that.
We were in the middle of nowhere. They said the only reason they had to take me in is because they had 2 separate witnesses verify that they saw me push her and slam the door. And then top of that, they also had to verify that all of them showed up within less than 3 minutes of a supposed 911 call for an alleged pushing.
Wow.
In the middle of nowhere. And then to make matters worse, when they arrested me and I actually got the disclosure of the charges, there was only 1 witness, not 2 as they had previously said, so they lied. And it was a witness that had been driving by on the highway, not even stopped, not even in the parking lot, driving by on a highway. And that was apparently more than enough to arrest me against my wife's word. And then the only way they were going to release me, and remember all my other conditions, was if I would sign a form saying I was not allowed to interact with or live with my wife.
Wow. Can you imagine that? Yeah. Like, what, they're going to take your wife from you?
Well, they took my ability to drive. They took my ability to fly. They took my ability to defend myself. They took my ability to speak. They've closed all my social medias. They killed my Instagram. They banned me from Facebook. They banned me from Twitter. They took off my TikTok. They killed my my personal website. They took it down in 30 minutes. So trust me, they try to take every single thing they can. And the one thing they couldn't take from me so far was my wife. And so they tried to do that too. That's how low these people will go when you're being targeted.
Let's talk to Jenny a bit about you guys finding. You guys been married for quite some time. Oh, and also I just want to, when I booked this interview, someone hit us up with like bringing up that allegation. So I'm super grateful we could clear that up. You guys, when did you meet? How long you been together?
We met in 2010.
Wow.
Online.
Oh yeah, what app was it back then?
Facebook. It was mutual friends.
That was before Instagram.
Yeah.
And he hit you up in the DMs on Facebook, and you were in Texas?
I was in
Showed
Texas.
up on People You May Know. You know that little
Oh yeah.
thing? People You May Know, and there was a picture of her. I think it was from her birthday party because she was wearing a tiara, and she just looked really hot. So I'm like, I clicked on her profile, and sent her the DM. Started talking to her, and after like a month or 2 of talking, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna come to the States. We'll visit you. I'll come to Texas. She's like, I don't want to go to Texas. It's boring. I go, well, where do you want to go? And her passport had just expired, so she would have to renew her passport if we flew out of the country. So I didn't feel like waiting for her to renew her passport. I said, choose anywhere you want in the U.S. and I'll fly us both there and we'll have our first date. So she chose St. Thomas Virgin Islands because it's the equivalent to a Caribbean vacation. Really,
Not bad.
Pretty smart, actually.
Not bad.
I was like, yeah, I was like, good call. So that's where we went for our first date. And then 3 months later, she was working at Michael Kors at the time. She was a manager at Michael Kors in Texas. I told her she was going to have to quit her job and move to Canada. And I had to actually fly to Texas and have a party for all of her clients because all her clients were the equivalent to like mothers and aunts to her. Mm-hmm. So imagine not dealing with one mom, but having to go to the Cheesecake Factory with like 25 moms. It was the most awkward day of my life, but it was worth it.
Definitely.
This is the kind of stuff I had to go through for her.
So 10 years together. When did you get married?
And it wasn't that easy because she came to Canada and then she was here for about 5 years. And we weren't doing anything illegal. We were going back and forth between Canada and the States whenever we wanted and getting her passport stamped. And we did that for a good 5 years. And then they didn't want to let me into the States one day because they started sharing information and they found out I had a medical marijuana license in Canada, completely legal.
Great idea.
Yeah, I had one since 2012. And they started giving me a hassle about it. And then they started looking through her passport and seeing how much we were traveling. So they wanted to be dicks and they basically just separated us at the border. They put her into the States, me back into Canada, literally just separated, pulled us apart. I had to like throw her my credit card and put her in a hotel while I tried to fix everything. That was in the beginning of December 2013. By Christmas, I flew her to Bahamas because it was like neutral territory for both of us so we could spend Christmas together. By New Year's, I had got documentation so I could go into the States, so we spent New Year's together. And then by January 14th, I had set up a wedding for January 15th in New York. We got married, and I brought her back here. And that was like almost 8 years ago now.
Well, you fight for the ones you love.
Yeah.
But obviously you found a very special woman. Now, Jenny, you're obviously putting up with a guy who just look at him. There's crowds of people. One of his rallies had 300,000 people. Did you always know he was going to be a man to take center stage and do something like this?
I never knew that this would be like his job and like, you know, but I knew that first, it's so weird. You can even ask him. I told him this years ago. I said, I feel like me and you have a purpose in this life. Like he's special in his own way, and I am too. And I feel like the universe said you guys need to stay together for something important. And I said that to him before pre-COVID. Didn't I say that?
Oh yeah, and you're the reason I'm speaking out on it.
Yes, he never wanted to do this, guys.
Wow.
Okay, he never wanted to speak.
Yeah, everybody thinks
No.
I love this.
Behind every great man, there's always a woman pulling the strings.
This was our life pre-COVID, and then I'm going to tell you my life now. And everybody thinks, oh, you're getting all this attention. And it's so great. Yeah, I'm getting the attention of the government who wants to lock me up or kill me, the media who tries to make me look worse than
Austrian painter.
the police who are on my side for the most part, but still have to arrest me when they're told, and all these people calling me crazy, even though everything I keep saying comes true. So that's what I'm dealing with now. And then I have to also, I'm driving around the same cities over and over, saying different variations of the same thing over and over, trying to finally convince people to wake up to what's really going on, versus traveling around to warm, exotic places with my wife and different Instagram models. We went, how many countries so far? 40 different countries. I much preferred my life before COVID, and I was doing all of this, A, to preserve my family's business, B, to preserve the integrity of our country and the future for our children, and C, to get my friggin' life back. That's
Wow.
it. And now everyone thinks like, everyone wants to tell me, I've heard things like, oh, you're doing this for attention or you're doing this for clout. Buddy, we had 100,000 Instagram followers before COVID ever was a thing. So we didn't care. We just lived our life. And now I had other people accuse me of being controlled opposition. First of all, what have those people risked or sacrificed or accomplished? We know what I've sacrificed or what I risked or what we don't know what I've accomplished, but I'm the one that told everybody about the mask exemptions. I did a protest on the TTC the day they became mandatory with 100 people showing how you could not make them mandatory. I created face mask exemption cards, gave out over 20,000 of them, even in French, all over Canada. When they did the hotel quarantine, I made the airport video teaching everybody how to decline the test, how to decline the quarantine, and how to handle the fines that you don't have to pay. And as a result, so many Canadians did it that they abolished the hotel quarantine.
Yeah.
And that's called United Noncompliance. It's another example of that. And that's how we're also going to beat the vaccine passport, just by people not complying.
Okay, we're wrapping up the Before They're Famous segment. I just want to pull up some old photos. Now, I believe.
ahead.
Oh, wait, now that you tell me you guys were actually Instagram famous before, I feel.
I don't even consider myself famous now. I'm just a normal person.
100K is a pretty big deal, though, for being cool kids on traveling the world, right?
I guess. I know there's people with 100 million followers.
So yeah, we were just I didn't know Jenny would be joining us, so I just wanted to show the world that Chris Guy really.
Wow, I can't even remember that picture
No?
being out. Yeah.
Well, it's not a bad picture.
We're gonna make that babe of the day on our Instagram. Just it's another thing we do here. So we found there's
Oh, that's our mini horses.
what's going on here.
This is our property where we currently live. We had animals before. We had mini goats, as you see. That was Bandit. That's Mac. He was a mini horse. He was actually smaller than one of our dogs. He was only about 170 pounds. And that's as big as they get.
What you got the flow going here? What year was this?
Oh, this must have been like 2013.
Okay, next one. Oh yeah, fitness model. This is more recent, I'm guessing.
Well, I have the tat, so it has to be after 2020.
Yeah, I think that was like.
This
right
was
before COVID, maybe.
I got this right at the start of
Oh,
COVID.
wait, yeah, that was
So this
right
must have
before,
been
yeah,
like
so I was like,
at least May 2020. Something.
So I can see why they had 100,000 followers. That's pretty cool stuff. And always standing by your man, you know, like you're taking center stage. It's cute. Let's see another one.
That's Thunder and me. Thunder's our Great Dane. He was one of the biggest dogs in the world. He was featured in articles all over the world. He was about 220 pounds. He just passed away, poor little guy.
Next one there.
That's Chi Chi. That's my first dog. She also just passed away. Her and Thunder passed away only like 2 weeks apart.
Pomeranian?
She was 13 years old.
Wow.
I had her actually before I even met my wife.
Oh my God, that's a lady magnet if that's the dog you had.
And she just loves sitting on she used to sit on my shoulder when I would drive everywhere, like a little bird or something.
Look, and you are like a totally, I don't know, you look like a college guy back then. You know?
It was just me going to work probably.
Yeah, different time. And one more?
That's Thunder, and you can see how big he is.
Wow.
People think it's Photoshop, but it's not. He's just a massive dog, and he still thinks he's a lap dog. He's literally sitting on my one leg.
I think that's
He was still a baby there.
He was not even a year old yet.
That's going to be your before photo when we do a thumbnail because that dog's clickbait. People are not going to believe that's real. Is that all of them?
There's pictures of him with her that look Photoshopped, make her look like a child. It's hilarious.
Is that it?
That is Nanu and Tulu. This is the alpha female of our wolf pack. She's a wolf hybrid, and she's a full Malamute. There's no wolf.
I actually read a rumor online that you've just recently bought wolves.
Not recently. I've rescued wolves. I rescue wolves for years.
Legit wolves. And like
They're wolf hybrids.
Okay.
Our most recent one is a high content Arctic wolf. She's like all white. They don't bark. They don't even know how to bark. They only howl.
how
They're
many
a lot smarter.
animals do you have?
Well, we've taken care of up to 11 animals at one point.
Wow. That my fiance is huge into supporting dogs or injured animals. We have a rescue. But we would love to come see this farm someday.
You'll love these guys. You've never met dogs like ours.
I'd love to do that. Okay, cool. All right. Oh, like you're a regular guy, just pumping some gas.
I think I was fixing a tire.
Yeah, and Jenny said she loved his hair.
Yes, I think I tied his hair
I
right
definitely-
for that picture.
I definitely didn't tie that.
The man bun was a big look.
Big back then.
Yeah.
Probably like 7-8 years ago.
All right, we'll wrap up that segment. Okay, so yeah, we're just gonna go through like everything else you want to talk about, man. Like I think you're running for prime minister. Is that correct?
Not running for prime minister. People put a poll online on Twitter, and they put me for prime minister against Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, and Maxime Bernier. And out of 15,000 votes, I got almost 65% of the votes. So I got more votes than all of them combined triply. So like it was ridiculous. It was embarrassing for them. But I did tell people there's no political solution to this. So I want them to see this election come and go, and nothing changed. The lockdown is going to happen. The Vax Pass happens. Then they're going to realize they have to stand up for themselves. But I did tell everybody, if they do what I ask and they come together in united non-compliance and they reject the Vax Pass, the day that the Vax Pass is gone, I would run for prime minister.
Censored by the media. That's a question I have. Like, you don't have a YouTube channel. You mentioned every platform has banned you.
I got kicked off of Instagram. I got kicked off of TikTok. My Twitter is currently on a ban. My Facebook is currently on a ban. My Telegram is okay for the moment. My website was taken down within the first 45 minutes, and it was even hosted out of country, which means they had to petition the country where it was hosted to get it taken down.
Wow.
And they did that within 45 minutes. And my website has been accessed by over 160 countries around the world. So if you want to talk about international, if you look at all the stuff that people post to me, people will post a YouTube, like an interview of me on YouTube. Within 15 minutes, it will be taken down. But then that same video will pop up on a talk show in Japan, or a talk show in friggin' Israel, or in Portugal, or in Poland, or in
That happened with Hombres, our buddy Chris.
I've seen my videos in at least 10 different languages so far in over a dozen different countries.
Okay, man, I think I'm going to wrap this up. I feel like I've gotten a lot out of you, but we do have some questions from the fans. Do you want to run through a few of those?
Why not?
Okay, there's Chai Frequency. They asked, when is the next worldwide rally?
The next worldwide rally, we were doing a worldwide walkout actually today. It was supposed to be against the Vax Pass for every industry, federal, private, students. Everyone was just supposed to not show up to work or school, unless, of course, you are the owner of the business, because why would you protest against yourself? But other than that, that was happening today. The big rally that's going to happen against these Vax Passes in Toronto is September 25th. It's going to be the first rally I've been at in Toronto in almost a year, and I want to stress this. We want you to come whether you're vaccinated, whether you wear a mask. It doesn't matter to us. All that matters to us is freedom of choice. And the freedom of choice means getting rid of the Vax Pass. So we want everybody, masked, unmasked, jabbed, unjabbed, show up on 25th at Dundas Square. Another one we got to mention, huge, tomorrow, September 2nd, at police headquarters, 40 College Street.
This is huge.
The police are protesting
This is huge.
against the Vax Pass, and yours truly will be in attendance speaking on behalf of the Toronto Police. So if there was ever a time to back the blue, this is when you got to.
Buddy, you're like on a Canada's Most Wanted. They're chasing you down. They're accusing you of all sorts of things. But this is the time you guys are actually uniting.
I'm always united with the police. The media lies. I'm the only person in Canada that can literally make a 30-second video, put it on an Instagram or Twitter, and then they'll have to write a mainstream news article refuting what I said.
Jess Balzamo asked, how do you get around the vaccine passport, especially if we're leaving the country?
It's simple. You do not need a vaccine to travel as a Canadian citizen. When you come in and going from the country, they cannot stop you. There's not even any more hotel quarantine. They'll just tell you to quarantine at your house. And if you don't feel like quarantining at your house, they'll end up giving you a $800 fine that goes nowhere in court. So you really don't have to do anything. What's important is you have to look at the country where you're traveling to. Every country has separate entry restrictions, and those entry restrictions can change virtually every 2 weeks in the time of COVID. So if you want to go to Italy, for instance, you have to check COVID restrictions Italy, and you'll notice you don't need a vaccine. All you need is a COVID test. And then you don't even need to quarantine when you get there if you have a COVID test. And the best COVID test to get for travel is a saliva PCR test, because you just spit in a cup. They don't stick anything up your nose. They don't stick anything in your throat. And I know a company that does it. It's called iCor Blood Services, ICHOR. No, I'm not affiliated with them. No, I don't make any money. I just use them myself when I travel to Turkey.
Shaylee Afton asked, thoughts on Q theory as it relates to NWO and ending what we are experiencing?
Well, according to some Q people,
I don't even know what that meant, but
according to some Q people, I'm not me. I'm a clone, and I've been replaced. So I don't know how to answer this question.
You're the
With a
new
straight
Gucci
face.
Mane. You're the.
But even my wife hasn't realized that I've been replaced.
Got it. I hope you guys got to learn more about Chris Sky and Jenny. And thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to go and do a Before They're Famous video over on the main channel, so check that out. And if you want to follow these guys, well, you can't because the internet's shutting them down. But we do have, you have fan accounts?
There's a fan account on Instagram that posts. They basically post everything I post on my Telegram. My Telegram is real. It's Real Chris Sky. And it's all capitals, just like that. And there's a bazillion fake accounts that impersonate me. You'll know it's me. It's got 45,000. I have the Instagram that posts that stuff is Chris Sky 83. I'm on Twitter, Chris Sky. I'm on Facebook, Chris Sky, but Twitter and Facebook are currently down. And I'm trying to get my TikTok back, but we'll see what happens. My website is realchrisSky.com.
We're going to leave links to all that down below. And
don't forget my book.
There was a book you put onto Amazon, and
Amazon gave me a book deal. I wrote a book called Just Say No, and I didn't ghostwrite it. I wrote it myself, and it was transcribed from over 10 hours of me speaking about COVID, about everything, about the 3 phases of United Non-Compliance, about where this goes if we don't act, about where it goes if we do act, etc., etc. And I jumped through all the hoops, got a publishing deal. I was supposed to launch it in Vancouver on my tour. I got arrested 2 days before I was supposed to launch it. I got out, made the arrangements so I could still launch it. And then hours before it was supposed to go on sale, I got an email from Amazon, and it became the first book in the history of the world to be banned by Amazon before it went on sale.
They paid for it, and then they had to take it down?
They had everything ready to go. It was they didn't even print the first copy. And so I had because everything was ready to go, I just had another publishing company print it for me, and I was smart enough to send it to all the cities in hard copy because I kind of had a feeling Amazon was going to try to screw me because every big corporation would try to screw me. But I was trying to also use their own technology against them, just like we do with Facebook and the other big tech. But yeah, they all they did was make the book way more popular because, to put it in context,
right? Of course, if something becomes you can't get it or there's whatever.
If it's banned, yeah. And considering you can go get book on Amazon, but you can't get Chris Sky's book, then yeah, it makes a big deal. And so the book is available. I've sold thousands in person at all the events, but we also sell it on my website, realchrisSky.com. It's aptly named Just Say No after the hashtag I created.
All right, guys. So I think that's about everything. Thank you so much for coming in. It's been a blast.
Thank you, brother.